part 3 of my daiquiri mini-series, and today I'm focusing on 12 Spanish origin white rums. Today you're going to see some big popular favourites versus some probably lesser well-known white rums. Now in the previous videos I focused on the sort of English styles of rums, single origin, single distillery white rums. I've also done the blended and multi-distillery white rums, and I've even taken a look at some of the UK rums. We are producing some awesome stuff in the UK, so we've looked at them. But today, typically, we are talking probably a range of cheaper styles of rums. Spanish origin rums generically are a little bit cheaper. Hey rum fans, I'm Steve the Barman, and I'm here to help you on your rum journey by mainly focusing on rums under £50. Now I had contemplated doing this video as a blind tasting because my favourite rum is coming up in this video. But I also thought in hindsight that's a bit unfair on the previous 2 videos. But never fear, because that has given me an idea for the 4th video in this series. Video 4, I'm going to be looking at any of, I'm going to say at the moment 85, but if these rums do really well, I might have to bump that to anything over 87. I'm going to put together in a blind tasting for video 4, and have I got those scores that I've given right? But that's for next week. Let's crack on with today. So let's crack on with the first 3, and again I've broken these down into categories which I think will be really blindingly obvious to most of you watching along. The first one, Cuba. That's where we're going. So the big 3 from Cuba we've got, and these are in price order as well. We've got Havana 3-year-old, we've got Santiago de Cuba, and we've got, I have to say this, full disclosure, you know, being open and honest, everything out, cards on the table, this up until now has been my favourite white rum. And this is White Rum Daiquiri. So price order, again, master of malt, logged out, generic pricing. Dare say you might be able to get these cheaper in supermarkets. That one definitely not. Havana 3-year-old, £19.49. Santiago de Cuba, £20.94, and Ron Cuba, £24.44. So, you know, there's a little bit of a price gap there. Tasting neat, again. I'm sorry, I will have to do this blind tasting in video 4, but tasting neat, I just fell in love with this. It's a lovely, rounded, vanilla-y kind of rum, not so much tropical fruit, but we don't get that really from sort of Spanish style rums, but it is gorgeous to sip neat. You can ultimately tell these are weaker rums. I forget what the Havana is. Havana's 40, yeah, I was going to say. These two, both 38% ABV, so they have got a little bit less. But the big difference I note from this, tasting the Angostura last time, these have got more body to them than the Angostura did. The Angostura was 37.5, yeah, 37.5%. So the difference between these two are night and day for me. There's a lot more peppery bite in that one. Really nice to sip neat as well, but there was a bit more spice coming out to it. And this one is more floral in those kind of sense, in that kind of way. So that's tasting neat, but you're here for daiquiris. Daiquiri, it's a class apart. It really is for me. And I know that's biased. I know it is, but I've given it a 90 because I think I should give it higher. I think I should, but I've given it 90, so it is on level terms at the moment with the Dawley's 3-year-old, the 47% ABV, and the Solution. I think for me to say it's like 95 would be a bit unfair, as these are not blind tasted. So I've given that 90. This one, the Santiago, there is a notable difference for me. I hope I picked this up blind because I can taste it. There is a notable difference in there. But I still think that's a really good daiquiri rum. So I've given that 87. And then we move on to the Havana 3-year-old. By default, that is not as nice as the Santiago, but it is still pretty decent. You know, I can't forget, even though I'm not a lover of the brand, I can't forget this will be many people's go-to white rums. But I've given that 85. For me, there is a gulf in class between that and that. I'm just, so the Havana 3-year-old and the Cuba, I'm just hoping on the blind tasting next week, I really do pick that out, and it is just not biasness. And then we move on to the second category. Now, I should have done this one to the end because this is a mixed category, but I thought Bacardi should come out to play pretty early doors. So What I've got, and this is the only split category, I've got Puerto Rico, I've got 2 rums from Puerto Rico, and I've got Nicaragua, which is Flor de Cana. So we've got Bacardi and Don Q, brand new to me. Never, ever had that before in my life that I know of. Certainly can't ever remember having it. So first tasting of that, Flor de Cana is no kind of stranger to me. This is the 37%er. Sorry, 37.5% ABV. So we do get the 40 as well in the UK, but this is still my old bottle of the 37.5. And that is another video that I kind of want to do. I want to compare those two. And we've got Bacardi, which is 37. So 40, 37.5, 37.5. Now, interestingly, the weaker one on neat tasting is that Don Q. That is the one for me that gives me the less. The Flor de Cana is a class apart in this category, and maybe unfair because it's not Puerto Rican, it's Nicaraguan, but it is the class apart. There is much more rounded flavour, lovely kind of vanilla, lovely sort of a little bit of tropical notes going on in there, but it's a light, amazing rum. I've got a lot of love for that Flor de Cana. So the Don Q, is the Don Q better than the Bacardi? Marginal, but I can't get away from the fact the Bacardi is, you know, it's world renowned. It is. I can't get away from that. So these are in price order: £17.99, £21.49, and £20.50. So in the middle there, £20.50. So I dare say you'll get Bacardi cheaper in your supermarkets as well. This is Master of Malt, just completely, you know, so we've got all the prices in one place. You know, I know you're going to get that cheaper. I know you are. But my point being, even at Master of Malt prices, for Don Q at, what did we say Don Q was? £21.49, and Bacardi, so we're talking £3.50 more. Honestly, I know I'm going to get shade for this, but I don't see the price gap. I really don't. That for me is much the same as the Angostura. It's kind of wishy-washy in that sense. It's decent, don't get me wrong, it is decent, but comparing it to the Flor de Cana, no, not for me. So, where do we go on daiquiris? Right, so we scored this. Let's go this end first. I've scored that an 80, and it just, it's nice, it's decent, you know, it's good. It's just not jumping out at me. It's just not, it's like, I would quite happily drink that. I would, it's just not, it's just not, it just doesn't make my eyes light up. So I've given that an 80. The Don Q, I've given that an 82. There's something a little bit more to it in a daiquiri. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It just gives me a little bit more. That's all in the Bacardi. But there is a gulf between the Flor de Cana. And this might be biasness again in my head. I've given it an 89 because I still think in my head the Cuba is better. But as I say, this will come out in the blind tasting. So I've given this 89, as I say. A really classy daiquiri. Really is. You know, for the price, 20, where are we? 20, what did I say? £20 and 50p. Compared to the Cuba, that's £24. You know, if we're talking price, I mean, yeah. But that's going to be interesting in blind tasting because that is a class apart. I've still got this niggly feeling that I'm just going to pick that Cuba because I love it so much. So next round, we're landing in the Dominican Republic. We've got Brugal, their white rum. Is this actually called anything? Brugal Blanco. We've got the Matusalem Platino, I think that is. Yeah, the Matusalem Platino. And the Barcello, the Platinum. That's what that's called there. 40% ABV, 40% ABV, 37.5% ABV. I've just got to double check the Brugal. Yeah, I thought it was. Right. Oh, and they're in price order as well. So price order $17.95, $23.49, $23.90. So these are, there is one more expensive one coming, but these two are two of the three most expensive ones here. I forgot the Cuba. I'm forgetting about the Cuba. Sorry. Sorry. So these are two of the four most expensive ones here, which is quite a bit of a shocker because Barcello's got a pretty decent sort of distribution in the UK. So I would naturally, for a 37.5%, I would naturally expect that to be a little bit cheaper. Why? because I don't think the quality's there. I really don't. For me, tasting that neat, that is, and this has been behind the bar for ages, and I've not given it love because I don't really get too much from it. It's a decent, it's an adequate white rum. You know, it's nice, it's rounded. I'm certainly not sending that back. You know, it's the daiquiri, it's pretty good. You know, it's drinkable, but there's better. That is my point. It's not that the fact that that's bad. The fact is there is better, cheaper. That's my viewpoint on it. Now, Methuselah. Again, I'm going to say this is the same as Don Q. I'm going to say this is brand new to me. I don't ever recall having the Platino. Shocks me in a good way. That is delicious. I really, really like that. And I would like to spend more time with that. It is absolutely delicious. For a 40%er, I really do like that. It's just got a little bit more character, a little bit more vanilla-y. You don't really get the tropical fruit off it that you kind of get with some, as I say, with the English style rums. But it has pretty decent, nice, but subtle, peppery spice to it. I do quite like that, Nee. And the Brugal. Now, I do have to give some disclosure to this as well. I spent, when I started my own business in 2012, I had a pouring deal with Brugal. I loved the rums back then, and we didn't have this selection. So 2012, we certainly didn't have the selection what we have now, but I did a lot of work with Brugal, and I do like it. But that is the first time I've had that in probably 7 years. Definitely at least 6. I'm going for 7 years. The pouring deal lasted for about sort of 2-3 years. So again, that was a good revisit. And again, I really do like that. That for me is the star out of these 3. Really delicious. Nice. Even, and this is going to be really bizarre because it's got that vanilla-y, chocolatey notes in it, in a completely different way to El Dorado has. I don't like El Dorado 3-year-old as a daiquiri or as that sort of a lighter rum because it's too sort of chocolatey and vanilla-y. Whereas this is lovely and subtle, and I love sipping that neat. That is, that's a shocker for me because I forgot how good this was. I do like this. And for the price, $17.95, you probably won't get that cheaper, but that's a bargain. So, daiquiris. We're here to talk daiquiris. What have I done? Let's go reverse order. I've given that 80 out of 100. Decent. I'm not sending it back. Can I justify giving it a higher score than Bacardi? No. It's a decent daiquiri, but there's nothing else going on. It really good. You know, if I walked into a bar and that is their daiquiri rum, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm not ecstatic, but I'm happy. It's good. I just can't, in all consciousness, give it a higher score than Bacardi because for me, there's marginal, if anything, difference to that. And the price, you know, Bacardi, I know bars will be getting for 12, 14 pounds. I know supermarkets will be getting 14, 15 quid. Whereas that, Barcello, you're talking, you know, nearly 24 quid. So in some cases, a tenner an extra a bottle. I can't justify giving it a higher score. I really can't. Methuselah, I think my cut-off for next video is going to be 87. So I've given it an 87. And I will make sure that is in my blind tasting next video because I'm really surprised by that. And I really, really like that. It might go either way, but first shocker, first sip, first taste of that, I do really like that. I was going to say the wrong Cuban then. The Brugal, it's got Ron on the top there. That's why that. It's a bit of Brugal for me. I've given an 88. Again, it wouldn't surprise me in a blind tasting. It wouldn't surprise me if that pipped Flor de Cana for me. I do think it's good. I don't think it's going to pip because I think I would be able to taste that sort of vanilla-y, sort of chocolate notes on it in a daiquiri. I don't think it's going to pip the Cube for me. It's just something about that Cube. But that's really, really good. Really good. For the price, that is really, really good. And then we move into the final category, Venezuela. And I dare say there's other Spanish style of white rums, but these are the 12 that I pretty much think are the easy go-tos for you. And again, 3 absolute newbies. I can't say I've ever had these rums before. So this is it's probably about 15 minutes I've spent tasting these and kind of playing about and having a little sip and that and getting used to them. I've had a lot of Pampero, I'm sure it's a Special, the gold one, sort of like the yellow label with the red writing. I've had a lot of that at my time because that's Diageo owned and we used to do a lot with Diageo. Never had the white. Never, ever, ever, and I know that for a fact, had the Santa Teresa, and I've never had the Planas. Now, I've just had a shock of my life for this. Again, completely missed me by, and I've seen the, so price order, this is where I'm going. $19.99 for Pampero, 37.5% ABV. I think. Yeah, 37.5% ABV. So $19.99. Santa Teresa, $22.99. 40% ABV. Diplomatico Planas, £29.42. The most expensive Spanish style of white rum. And I was like, do you know what, that, and I've kind of hinted at it in this video, I think that's quite expensive. The ABV completely passed me by. I had no idea. I just not even looked. And I've had this chat with Windy. The ABV, I don't even pay attention to ABVs. I just don't. I just buy the rums. 47% ABV. I will just double check that. 47. I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought it was a 40%er. I generally did. And it really does come through in the taste. So, where are we going on the taste? Let's start this end because I think this kind of works well. We start down this end. And the Pampero. Again, it's a bit wishy-washy. Is it better than Barcello? No, not really. Is it better than Bacardi? No, not really. It's nice, it's pleasant. I'm not sending the daiquiri back at all. I'm not sending the white rum back. I quite happily drink that. It's nice. You know, it's lovely. This will sum this up. I could gulp for that. It's nice. It's rum. It's sugar cane. You know, I could just gulp it. It probably to me is, I don't want to say water, but there's nothing to it. There's really nothing to it. You can tell it's rum, but there's no bite. It's soft. It's pleasant. There's just nothing to it. It's a dangerous rum for that in that sense. But there's no character to it at all. So it's pleasant. It's a decent price, $19.99. But this rum's cheap. But in all honesty, I'm going to buy Bacardi over that. Generally, honestly, I am for the price. If I could get Bacardi at 14 quid and that at 19 or 20 quid, $19.99, I'm going to get Bacardi. We move on to the Santa Teresa. As I say, brand new to me. Never had it. I haven't really paid much attention to any of the other Santa Teresas either. This little rum has just blown me away. Absolutely belting. I'm just looking at my daiquiri scores. I've had a lot of fun sipping this neat and getting tasting notes, and I like that. I really like that. Vanilla-y, butterscotch, not overly sweet, but definitely tell it's a 40%er. In blind tasting, I would go, if blind tasting that and then comparing that, I'm like, there's easily 10 ABV in it because that tastes so much more punchier than what that does. It's a real surprise for me. Love it. And then the whole thing was, I was like, whoa, I tasted this, the Diplomatico Planas. I was like, oh, there's an alcohol kick to that. And that's when I looked at the ABV. Because I generally wasn't expecting that. That is delicious. Really like that. I dare say it's sweetened. I dare say there's a little bit of extra sugar content in there. But that is delicious. I do like that. But if 29, whatever it is, £29.42. Anyway, daiquiris. We're here to talk about daiquiris. But we have to talk about the sort of neat because that does kind of form the base of the daiquiri. Daiquiri is very simple cocktail. So, the Pampero. I've scored it 81. In hindsight, you know, I'm looking at this now. I know full well that I've got a fourth video coming now with the blind tasting. Probably should have scored it 80. Probably should have put it on level par with the Bacardi. I should have done, to be fair. Is it better than Bacardi? Not really. For some unknown reason, I went 81. I can't justify that score now in hindsight, thinking about it. It's a decent daiquiri. I'm not sending it back. It's decent. Santa Teresa. Actually, let's go on to the Diplo next. You can probably work out what's coming here. The Diplo, I went 88. I want to put that in my blind tasting, my grand finale, if you like. I want to put that in there. I've knocked it down because it's so freaking expensive. Bearing in mind some of the UK rums, and this is the thing. I know Diplomatico. Right, let's have this discussion. I know we're going off topic slightly, but Diplomatico have got a huge, and I mean a huge, global network for distribution. Is that rum £30? And this is what I'm comparing it to the UK rums and the scores. I'm looking at the UK rums that I've done, and most of them are over 30 quid. You know, 32, 33, and all that. And I've still scored them quite highly. The UK rums would love to have the distribution that Diplo has got. Would absolutely love. So I'm justifying price on that because I think that should be cheaper. I don't think the quality is a £30 rum, but it is a really, really tasty rum. When the UK guys are distilling that kind of quality, they have to put it at that price. Yeah, but I've scored it 88 because I want to put it in that final. It's a really tasty rum. It is a really tasty rum. So we move on to the Santa Teresa, and again, 90 is my ceiling because I can't. I'm like tasting this and I'm speechless and I'm thinking that's pretty damn tasty. That is a great daiquiri, absolutely great daiquiri. Oh my god, neat. It's gorgeous. Yeah, so I've given it a 90. You're going to have to tune in for the grand finale, the blind tasting, and it will be blind, I promise you, hand on heart, because I'm quite open to be proved wrong. I would love to see Cuban, because I'm passionate about Cuban. I would love to see Cuban take it. But do you know what? If the Dawley's 3-year-old, if the Chairman's, if the Santa Teresa, hey, it might even be Flor de Cana. In the blind tasting, I don't know. But I think probably looking at the scores, anything that's scored over 87, I think is coming up in video 4.